This is Fox 7 Austin News at 5.
The nearly 3-month battle to confirm Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh is weighing on Republicans and Democrats. With just 1 month to go before the midterms, it is sure to be on the minds of voters. Here to talk about this is Travis County GOP Chairman Matt Mackowiak and Glenn Smith from Progress, Texas. Glenn, do you think the fight Democrats put up against Kavanaugh is going to hurt or help the party in November?
Well, I think it was not so much of a tactical decision as a moral decision on the part of Democrats and others who opposed Justice Kavanaugh. So I'm glad they did that. And I think speaking up for what you believe morally against a man you thought was unfit for the job, too many lies, too many deceptions, etc., I think they had to do that. And I think its tactical considerations had to come secondary. I actually think Democrats haven't done enough of this moral decision-making and high road talk that they should have done.
How do you think that's going to serve in the midterms?
I think it's going to fire up Democrats, but I have to also say this is going to be one of the most unpredictable elections of all time. In all my conversations, I'm telling people, look, if somebody comes to you and says this is going to happen this November, they're probably guessing. So take it with a grain of salt. I think it'll help, but I won't be sure until the votes are counted.
Okay, Matt Mackowiak, why don't you guess for us? What's going to happen? How's this going to impact?
Well, what we've seen in the last week is that Republicans have become very urgently and intensely motivated. And there's been a real backlash, I think, to these tactics. I would argue they are tactics being used by the Democrats and their aligned groups to try to take Kavanaugh down. Look, their goal was, this was never about Brett Kavanaugh. It's about trying to get past this election on the hope they could win back the Senate and then keep the seat open for 2 years and then win back the White House. It was a triple bank shot from the very beginning. And at the end of the day, I think this ultimate result was a very good thing, not just for the Kavanaugh family, not just for everyone that worked hard to try to get him confirmed, but it was a good thing for the presumption of innocence, for the rights of the accused. This was a good day for America, that ultimately that it ended this way. And I say that knowing that this was divisive, knowing that a lot of people don't believe Kavanaugh and do believe his accuser. But at the end of the day, when you have a he said, she said, they both are under oath and they both remember things entirely differently, you have to look at the evidence. And there really was no evidence here. There was no evidence whatsoever, no independent corroboration, no independent substantiation. And that's ultimately why you had 50 United States senators, including one Democrat, vote to confirm Kavanaugh.
Glenn, this fight against Kavanaugh, is it going to keep going?
Well, first of all, if we're going to talk about tactics in the court, the Republicans don't seem to have suffered a big backlash for holding up President Obama's appointment for an entire year. So I don't think the Democrats will suffer any sort of backlash now for what was, in the end, a moral decision. What happens now? Well, I'll tell you, we're going to have an extremely conservative Supreme Court that's partisan to its core. It doesn't care so much about the Constitution as it does Republican talking points. And how are we going to cope with that? We're going to have to redouble our efforts at legislative levels throughout the country and in Washington. And we're going to have to corner what is a partisan sort of anti-constitutional court. They don't care what the founders said. They don't care about the right to vote. So we're going to have to beat them at the polls year after year after year in a sustained and aggressive offense.
Okay, Matt, real quickly, just to wrap up, similar question. This fight, there's been talk of impeaching Kavanaugh now that he's on the court. Do you think is that going to have legs?
No, I certainly hope not. Keep in mind it would take 2/3 of the United States Senate to impeach a sitting Supreme Court justice. I think the odds of that happening are extremely low. But you're right. I mean, the Democrats in their base are rabid, and they really want to keep this issue going. I hope they do, because I think it'll motivate Republicans. I think there is a question how intense Republican motivation will be over the next 29 days to the midterms. We have to remember what's at stake.
All righty. Well, the countdown is on. Gentlemen, thank you both very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.